Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. Just wanted to bring you an update on load development for, let's see if we can find it. It's over here somewhere. Load development for these guys. Get it in focus here. So, can check out how those perform. These are the 168 grain 168 grain Speer gold dot. Oh, 308. Let's see, let's pull up the information here. There's my target. I wouldn't, so just kind of give you a heads up, spoiler alert. I wasn't super impressed with how they performed. I mean, I get it, they're not a match king, so they're not, you know, I guess maybe I was going into it with maybe higher expectations than what I should have. Still performed okay. I mean, you know, I think they performed well enough to where I would continue to buy them, and I will continue to buy them, and I'll continue to load for them, and I'll use them. I'd like to use them as a hunting round, see how they perform. But we'll just kind of get right down to it. So I loaded up 50 rounds of these, so I loaded up a box of those bad boys using Varget. That was the powder that I decided to go with. And loaded everything to 2.820. The distance to the lands for that particular bullet in the Ruger American Predator rifle that I have, it's 2.840, so we loaded these out pretty long. Of course, the manual calls for 2.800. So we were 20 thousandths over what the manual recommends, but we were, you know, had about 20 thousandths jump to the lands, maybe just a little bit less than that. That's probably jammed into the lands, so maybe about 15. So not a lot of jump there on the bullets. Yeah, so we'll just kind of get right into it. I was able to get chronograph data for all 10 5-shot groups, so that was pretty good. I had a lot of other shooting that I was getting done that particular day. A lot of stuff geared around the 223, trying to come up with a good coyote round for the 55 grain Hornady soft point SX bullet. But I was only able to get about half of the total bullets that I shot. I think I shot like 75 of those that day. I was only able to get about half of those through the chronograph before I ran out of daylight. So to the point where I was getting errors on the chronograph, and it was annoying and pissing me off, to be honest with you. So, but here we go. We will check out the target, and then I will explain, I guess, my thought process on what I'm going to do moving forward. So this target's a little busy, so I apologize. But this is what we're looking at. There's actually 10 groups on here, 10 5-shot groups. So these targets aren't necessarily the best in the world, but I actually kind of like them. I got them from Mr. Big Guns in Huntsville. When I was picking up some powder and primers, they had a rack full of targets sitting over there by the door, and I just grabbed a handful of these just because I knew I was going to be doing a lot of shooting, and I needed, you know, several targets on one sheet. Was, you know, comes in handy. So but yes, this is what we're looking at, and really the main point of emphasis, or what we're going to be focusing on, is actually, let's see here, it's actually going to be on this top portion. So the best groups, so we're not paying attention to this or this over here. So really all we're focusing on is these 5-shot groups right in this range. So that's really what we're looking at. You know, the load data started at 41.2. That were our test load started at 41.2, and we went all the way up to 43.9. You know, going up 0.3 of a grain increment with each 5-shot group. So the best and I didn't even measure all these groups because you can see, I mean, some of them are pretty garbage. I mean, this one right here, the fifth shot was off the, I mean, it was off the paper, right? So I mean, some of these other ones, you know, like this 5-shot group here, I mean, that's just, there's no point in even measuring that. It's similar here. I mean, the fifth shot's right there. I mean, that's, in my opinion, yeah, this is nothing that I'm going to pursue. You know, like this one right here. I mean, that's, so I measured the 4 smallest groups out of the 10. Happened to be these 4 right up here. The smallest group size that we had was this bad boy right here. It came in at 0.945. That was with 41.5 grains of Varget. The starting charge of 41.2, that gave us a 1.603 group. 41.8 right here, that one gave us a 1.277, and then 42.4 gave us 1.405. So yeah, so those were the 4 best groups measured. My cat knocked my laundry basket off the chair, so I may have to beat a cat here in a minute. But all right, so gotta get this. Okay, all right, I'm back. So pretty much the gist of this video is, hey, here's how they performed out of my rifle. Wasn't necessarily what I expected going in, but again, the expectations might have been a little too high. Now, one thing we are going to do moving forward is we are going to stay below 42 grains on the next round of load development with this, simply because 3 out of our 4 best groups that we measured happen to be less than 42 grains. So that's kind of where I think we're going to live with this round, is less than 42. I know if you look across the internet, it's almost like a standard. Take a 308, 165, 168 grain bullet, put 42 grains of Varget behind it, and you're probably going to have a decent round. I mean, it's almost like a universal load, or at least it seems like it is. And I've always had really good success in and around that 42 grain range on the various 308s that I've loaded for. Especially in the Thompson Center Compass 308, that one really liked 42.5 grains. I shot really well using the 165 grain Sierra Game King. So we're going to hover around that range, but we're going to stay under 42 grains. But our velocity data, all the chronograph data that we were able to get out of the 10 groups, the worst standard deviation that we had was 17.4. So I mean, I was pleasantly surprised with the consistency at which this performed. As far as the velocities were nice and consistent. As far as, we're jumping 0.3 of a grain, so we were only jumping maybe 20 feet per second 20 to 30 feet per second every jump, which was nice. And then of course we hit sort of a, not necessarily a wall, but we hit a sort of a pocket there around 42 grains, 42.1 up to 42.7, where our standard deviation, or not standard, but our velocity only went up 17 feet per second. So that's 0.6 of a grain difference in those 3 loads, but we only went up 17 feet per second. So our velocity kind of plateaued right there, or at least it felt like it did, and that's what the data is showing, is that it didn't really jump that much. And then once we hit 43 grains, it jumped about 30 feet per second, just in that 1/3 of a grain jump. So right in that 42 grain window, we didn't really see 42.1 to 42.7. We didn't really see a lot of velocity change, but some of the best groups that we had, the 41.2, we were at 2377 on the velocity with a standard deviation of 9.8. 41.5, which was our Best group overall, that's the one that came in at 0.945. We were at 23.95 on the velocity and 10.5 on the standard deviation. And then 41.8, that was another decent group out of the day. It measured 1.277. It was right at 2404 on the velocity and 15.6. So that one there's only about a 10 feet per second jump from 41.5 up to 41.8. So once we hit about 41.8, you know, to 42 range, the velocity just kind of somewhat plateaued a little bit. But with the max charge, so going all the way to the other end, the 43.9, we did make it up to 25, 26 on the velocity, and that was our worst standard deviation at 17.4. So that's this guy right down here. That's that group. Yeah, just not really going to pursue anything above 42. 3 out of our 4 best groups came less than 42. So that's what we're going to stick with. Let's see what else. I think I believe I was using Hornady brass, CCI large rifle primers, the bench rest, the BR2s. That was the primer that was used. Yeah, I think that's about it. I bought 2 boxes of these when I first made the order, so I've still got this box left that I'll load up. And so what I'll probably do is go back, and the next round of load development we will start at 41.2 or maybe 41, probably 41.2, and then work our way up maybe to 41.9 or something, or 42. You know, probably go in maybe 1/10 of a grain or 2/10 of a grain jump or something like that. I don't know. We're gonna figure out something else to load them up with. You know, another round of load development should be coming to you on the 168 grain. So, but not too bad. Not exactly what I was expecting, but I guess my expectations might have been a little too high. But yeah, I mean, I'd highly recommend them. They shot fairly well out of the rifle. Still testing out that cheap BSA scope that I mounted on it. I like the reticle. I like the scope itself. Now I just need to get a little more familiar with it. This was the first time I've shot it, and so yeah, we just need to do a little more testing with it. And definitely we're going to check out the tracking on it. I don't expect it to be precise by any stretch of the imagination, and repeatability is probably not going to be that great, but we're still going to check it out. But yeah, so that's it on this one. So I appreciate you guys checking out the video. Looks like I got out of focus there for a while. But yeah, so y'all have a good one.